Today, we live in an interconnected world where the role of the business leader far exceeds financial success. As a matter of fact, making true social impact is just as important as profitability. Here at Economy Middle East with Mastercard, we bring together visionary leaders, true game changers, who have done impactful work under the video series Visionary Voices, Collaborating for a Better Future. I'm Alp Sarper, reporting for Economy Middle East. Welcome to Visionary Voices, Collaborating for a Better Future. We're here at the home of Mastercard in Dubai, and my esteemed guests are Amadou Diallo, CEO of DHL Global Forwarding Middle East and Africa. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Amnah Ajmal, Executive Vice President, Market Development, Mastercard, EEMEA. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
Now, Amadou, if I may start with you. DHL's mission statement is connecting people, improving lives. How do you integrate social initiatives into your overall business strategy?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's not very current for me to be in a place where people are transacting with a lot of financial stuff. We move a lot of goods physically. At DHL we have over 600,000 colleagues that work in the organization across the globe. And therefore, we operate in more than 220 countries and 30 territories. So we operate in many countries. And as we all know, it's not so that in all the countries, social life is like at its best, Hence, we have a lot of colleagues that are coming from different social backgrounds, from different geographies that need to make sure that they contribute to us making the world a better place. That is our day-to-day fight. So we do roughly around 75 million deliveries, so we meet a lot of people. And those people are sometimes people who feel privileged, sometimes there are people who don't feel privileged, sometimes there are people who have or who don't have, or who feel like they have or they feel like they don't have. And we believe that our mission is not just to deliver goods, but also to build positive encounters. And building positive encounters means that you have to be awake and alert. And if you are awake and alert, you can see that there are a lot of places where you can have an impact. And the idea is to always walk away with somebody having sparkling eyes when you have an encounter. So I think every delivery is a social initiative.
Wonderful. And Amnah, at the top of MasterCard's agenda, driving financial inclusion and ensuring everyone has access to financial resources. It sits right at the top of your agenda. And it's a way that they can contribute to the digital economies. How do you, as a leader, create meaningful and impactful markets? How do you create the impact in those markets?
So, first of all, I think the whole strategy behind innovation for MasterCard is based on collaboration. And we collaborate with a lot of players, be it fintechs, telcos, logistic players, financial institutions, governments. So I think the good thing is that for most institutions right now, financial inclusion and the mission of giving back to the community, giving back to the society is extremely important. And I think that's where the collaboration starts with our clients, with our partners, who are really aligned with our mission of doing well by doing good. So a small example that I can share to bring this to life is the kind of work we're doing in Africa with our telco partners. Financial institutions are serving a certain number of customers in the pyramid, but if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, it's largely been underserved by the traditional large organizations, or even SME, who in most parts of the world, whether it's in Middle East or in Africa, do not have access to credit lending. Now, these kind of partnerships where you have more data on SMEs and solopreneurs or even people who are not into the financial services system, you have the telco data, you have now the acceptance data because MasterCard equips those merchants with an acceptance device. You have the data from the mobile money wallets that the consumers are already using. So just imagine a merchant who actually was selling handicrafts around the edge of the road, previously taking money in cash. It is not recorded anywhere in the ecosystem, right? Once you equip the phone with an acceptance device and then the consumer is paying with the digital card attached to the wallet, all of a sudden this entire business of this merchant is recorded, and then you get access to financial services because there are APIs built into these collaborative ecosystems which micro-lending institutions can access. So that's one way. And the other way is the work that we are doing with the SMEs. And I think Amadou does a lot of work in the logistics space. But the challenge of handling cash is extremely difficult for the SMEs, and they're the growth driver and the backbone of the economies. So I think those are the few of the examples. But more importantly, what I feel is that my team is very passionate, and they don't do it because it's the mission of a company. They do it because they love to do it. And that's just so important. When you're doing something because you like it, you enjoy it, you feel that it's contributing to your sense of purpose.
Thank you. And Amadou, social impact is very important at DHL. As a leader yourself, how do you inspire the leadership team, but also your employees, to make sure that those key elements are passed on to the relevant people at your company?
Well, so we always talk about, having the aspiration to contaminate everybody with positivity. So at DHL, we have what we call the Wheel of Purpose. And inside the Wheel of Purpose, we have Go initiatives, we call them. So we have a Go Trade initiative, which is around enabling people to trade. We have a Go Help initiative, which is around helping communities when there are catastrophes or natural catastrophes that are happening. We have a Go Green initiative, which is around sustainability and helping people to plant trees across the planet. So we want to plant 1 million trees, for example, in our region. And then we have a combination of all of these combined with a program that we have developed, which is called the Salam program. Salam stands for Sustainable Leadership Mindset. And that's a program that we have developed together with Middlesex University here in Dubai and an NGO that is based in Kenya, whereby we teach all the sustainable development goals to our managers, the executives. And afterwards, they engage then in a physical project in a country, for example, in Zimbabwe or in Mozambique or in Madagascar. And then they go through that project with the objective of demonstrating that the sustainable development goals are being touched by each and every action that they do have. The purpose is that if the leadership is committed and walks the talk, then the second layer of the management walks the talk, then you become a much more attractive employer to all the young people that actually want to have an impact in society, and the majority of the young people want to have an impact in society. And then when we are doing it together, so we have roughly around 130,000 volunteers that work in our organization, 130,000. And when you have 130,000 people who work out for purpose together, what binds them together is then going beyond work in order to be managed, because then they are having a joint common purpose. And if they can go and then talk to their aunties, to their cousins, to their relatives, to whoever they encounter, then we have a much bigger multiplier. And we believe that, as human beings, our mission is not just to walk. Our mission is not just to watch. It's really to act upon every opportunity to make sure that all of us, as an inclusive world, that we are making the world a better place. So, and that's how we connect all the social activities that we do have to everything that we do. So personally, I volunteer in, I believe, 4 organizations. One that works on education, one that works on health, one that works on capacity building for the hospitals in Africa, and one that fights hunger. So, and I've been volunteering in those 4 organizations for more than 10 years. So it's important to walk the talk before you call for action.
And whatever you do surely expands, as you said, far outside the company.
Yes. It expands far outside the company because, as a human being, I'm not just a company man. I'm part of the society. So, and I think that it is important that when I'm in my neighborhood and in my neighborhood, that when I encounter people, that I also spread the same thing that I'm spreading when I'm walking, because my life is a continuity. So, but for me, work-life balance is having a balanced life. So, and having a balanced life is a life where you might find work at every junction, and you might find a way of having your purpose realized at every junction.
See, and Amnah, a social impact question for you. Now, what's the role of culture in driving social impact and change? And also, what kind of frameworks do you implement as a leader here at MasterCard?
So first, I would just add something to what Amadou said because he made a very important point. 75% of my team is Gen Z and millennials. And I think that generation more so, not that we are old, more than our generation actually believes in the sense of purpose and achievement, which is not solely attributed to work or your scorecard or the value that you're driving in terms of P&L impact and all. So I think it's very important. They are seeing themselves as individuals where they're not buying only into the mission of your company, but that is their sense of identity. That is their purpose, right? So if they don't see you walking the talk, and if they feel that it's just a statement written on the wall, it's not going to work. And when those people, when you have to motivate as the leader, that generation, that kind of talent, that incredible group of people, I believe there are a few things that are very important, and maybe I will give a very non-traditional answer. People spend, like I'm in technology, Amadou is in logistics, we were just discussing, so many hours of our life are spent at work, right? It's stressful. There are deadlines, there are client commitments, there's operations, there's tech, there's a pace of market, there's a consumer expectations changing. It's a very complicated world we live in. It's very important to create an environment which is more fun and people connect with each other as human beings. So for me, in leadership, a very large part, which is I think understated, is a sense of humor. You have to have a working place where people connect with each other and it's not stressful. Despite the fact that you're doing stressful work, people are able to connect with each other based on their values, based on their sense of purpose. That's a very important part of the culture. The second thing which I would say is openness. Openness in terms of your ideas, openness in terms of the mistakes that you want to make, because as an executive, my goals have ESG goals, financial inclusion goals. But I can deliver on my goal in many different ways. I can deliver on my goals because I did a business initiative, or I can bring my passion, my ideas, my team's creativity to it. Like we did this one women SME initiative. The first time we did it 4 years back, it was such a small thing, invite women SMEs from different parts of the world and just give them a platform together so they can network. It became such a big thing now, and I have my team members who are volunteering to support me on that on top of their day job. And they just work tirelessly because they feel so great when those women SMEs come from different parts of the world to Dubai. They don't even believe. Many are taking first time a trip outside their country. Like I met an SME she is making and flying drones in Uganda. She has never stepped out of Uganda. Making her fly to Dubai, making her network with different SMEs and investors was an incredible opportunity. But the team who was working with me to make this happen has got nothing to do with that. That's not their job. They just want to do it because they feel excited about being part of that initiative. They feel happy about it. They feel connected with other similar-minded people who are working on it, right? So for me, creating that environment based on openness and this connectivity, and which is light, you're having stressful times, yet it's good sense of humor, banana bread going on, I think that's very important.
So wonderful. So you touched on the kind of culture and a little bit of company culture there, but are there any particular frameworks that you implement here at MasterCard?
So I think we have many, many programs. Like we have this Innovation Day where different teams across multiple offices would come together. Part of it is done on VC, part of it is in person. It's like any idea that you can come up with. It will go through a structured program. There are judges of that program. Your idea sees the light of implementation. It could be anybody from any part of the organization. They come together. Then we have actually programs within different functions where actually, let's say you're working in operations and you would like to have an exposure to product or clients. There are projects where you come in together and actually you're creating something for the customer, which is really, really very impactful, but it's not part of what you do. So it's something over and top of something that excites you. It opens career development opportunities. It gives you the ability to innovate. So that's another kind of program we have implemented. So yeah, those are, and then of course, when we are doing, as Amadou was saying, a lot of volunteering activities, Priceless Planet Coalition that we have, the commitment to plant the trees together with our B2B partners, those are there. So yeah, many structured programs are there and those frameworks exist. But more importantly is that people feel it from their heart, that yes, the leader is vested in it and I want to be part of it.
Wonderful. And Amadou, you did touch on these a minute ago, community engagement programs. DHL invests in them all around the world. But how do you ensure that financial performance is still met while creating positive change within the communities, creating positive social change?
So me, I strongly believe that financial performance is always overmet when you are really contributing into the communities. Why? Because your people are able to demonstrate more than passion. They're highly committed. They positively contaminate all of your customers. They positively contaminate all of your partners. And then there is a sense of common purpose in terms of making sure that we overachieve our goals so that we can do even more, can have even more social impact. So when I look at my organization, the countries where you have the most social activities, so I can give you an example. So in Ghana, for instance, we have a team, they ride together every weekend with bicycles for 190 kilometers to go and reach out to communities, villages where you have small schools where they detect all the kids that are actually walking to go to school and then organize that they get bikes and bike together with them to show them that they can manage and maintain a bike, to allow them to come to school because many kids miss school because they don't have the mobility that is necessary. So that is something that they do in Ghana, and they do it every weekend. Every weekend. The performance of the country is accelerated since they started this initiative. If I go to Nigeria, they collect plastic, and then at the first they were collecting plastic to reduce waste. Now they collect plastic and recycle it and actually use it to build toilets in schools. So, and then by building those toilets in schools, they motivate the girls not to abandon classes when they have their periods, and therefore they can permanently attend class, which is giving those girls an opportunity to get educated. But our people who are doing that, they also find a higher purpose by going in each and every community and then being recognized as agents of change and not just employees of DHL. And I think that also elevate their sense of pride, and that also gives them a bit more power in terms of productivity and passion to work, because as a team they can then conjugate anything. Nothing becomes sort of something that can stop them, and that I have seen in all of our regions. If I take the Middle East and Africa region, which we drive, for the last 5 years, every year we are having growing high double digit, despite having much more people doing a lot more volunteer. So I think that's really completely interconnected.
So you take care of the people, financial performance will follow.
I think so.
Absolutely. And one for both of you, please. Any particular personal experience that have influenced your dedication to social impact? I know you both touched on some, but anything else you'd like to highlight?
Want to go first?
I let you, my sister, go first.
So I think in my case, there were two particular things. I think one, I was born in a country where I was not allowed to work. And I made it a mission that I have to, as much as I can, give more choices to girls and women in terms of having financial independence, having career growth, advancements, and more importantly, confidence in their skill set and believing in their own dreams. I think that's something that impacted me. And my biggest achievement is that actually my daughter will have the choices that I did not have. But then it was confining me because I was like, especially before I came to this region, yes, you can have an impact within your leadership circle, on your teams, on the teams that you collaborate with. When I started working more closely with SMEs and in Africa, I think a woman who works like 14 hours a day and then takes that cash salary at home, she's responsible for feeding 5 kids, and the husband can easily take that salary and blow it up on gambling, that lack of financial security, it really impacted me that I can do much more in my personal capacity as well as in my professional capacity to uplift women. So today for me, it's like I would say I'm obsessed with uplifting women, and it's an inspiration for me. It drives me. It helps me to sleep better at night. And that's something really, really important to me.
And just before I hand the mic back to you, can I ask you, do you think there is more disadvantages for women when it comes to financial inclusion? And how do you solve it? What's your view on that?
So absolutely, women are more disadvantaged when it comes to financial inclusion. I was talking to an entrepreneur from Latin America, a region far away from us. We may think they have different sets of problems. And one of the examples, she said that women don't even know that actually it is their right to keep their earnings to themselves. They don't even know if they're being treated badly by actually not being given the wage for that day or by a family member. It's their actually right to say that this is not right. So imagine if you're not even aware of your rights. We're talking about, that's why the world needs 140 years to come to a gender equity, right? The challenges that SMEs and farmers, I'm working with a few of our partners in Kenya around SME women in farming. They're hugely disadvantaged because they are not aware of their own rights. And actually by digitizing at least their wages and what they're earning and putting it in a secure form, we're giving them some kind of financial security. And then there's a huge education and awareness piece to it, right? Are there tools there for them to actually protect themselves, their income, grow their business? So yes, for sure. I mean, women are hugely disadvantaged. And I think more and more I see in my clients are primarily men, allies who are actually working so hard. And no one person and no one company can solve this problem alone. So it's all about us coming together and solving for it and hoping to create a more inclusive future tomorrow.
I see. Thank you for that. And I would back to you, please. Any personal influences that you feel particularly strong about for social impact?
Yeah. First, I will touch on the last
Wonderful.
point that
Please
you
do.
talked about in terms of being inclusive. I think that we now live in a society where we all clearly know that 60% of the resources that we need are coming from our sisters. We live in a society where we know that when you go through the education system, the high-performing people that are coming out of the education system are our sisters. We live in a world that is very, very competitive, where we know that if you want to be extremely compliant, you have to take people who feel extremely responsible, and the most responsible people that we have in our community are our mothers. So, and that's why I think that for us as corporations, not only Amnah's or mine, but for all of us, it is really extremely important that we commit to having more sisters being responsible. Because if you have more sisters that are responsible, we will have much more healthy organizations. And if you have much more healthy organization, we will be making the world a little bit better. So, and I think it is really extremely important that all of us commit to that.
Together.
Now, coming back to your question, what inspires me? Same. When I was growing up, my dad was selling shoes, so he was traveling a bit because he was selling Bata shoes. I have 10 siblings, so my mom had very little time for 10 kids. Therefore, I used to spend a lot of time with my grandmother. My grandmother was a midwife in the village. And she was working as a midwife in the village for no return. So just helping other sisters of hers or daughters. And I've seen, when you are helpful in the community, how respected you can be in the community. And, there is no better compensation than respect. We can fight for a lot of things, but there is no better compensation than respect. So, and that is something that I learned from my grandmother, and that is really what sort of stays with me. And I know that, we can go in New York, we can go in Singapore, in many different places, and people will say, you're earning that much. If you don't get respect, you are nothing.
And respect without a title.
Yes.
That's great. I've actually taken note of that. No better compensation than respect. That's a great saying. And I want to end it by asking for, if I can, one sentence each on what advice would you give to upcoming leaders who wish to drive change beyond the bottom line? If you can pack it in a sentence, two is also okay.
I would say balance empathy with courage.
Fantastic.
I would say that if you want to go, beyond financial impact, you should enable your people to stand up, to speak up, and to act without you not listening or not giving them, borders that they don't need. Really, if you set the people free to have positive impact in the world, you will see wonders that are beyond your imagination. So enable people to do so.
Well, with that, Amadou Diallo, Amnah, Ajmal, thank you very much indeed for your insights. Wonderful to have you with us, and I'm sure we'll see you very soon.